Hello. So this week's level 2/3, we are starting on the floor and we're going to do a full floor session. So if you're injured, no, you should not be doing this. If anything feels uncomfortable at any point, then you just stop. Okay, listen closely to alternatives. I will be offering them throughout, and if anything feels uncomfortable, as I've just mentioned, please just stop. Remember, we should never be in pain. We can feel the muscles fatiguing and feeling tired, but we shouldn't be in pain. So we're starting on our bottoms. If you've got any lower back issues or tightness in the lower back, take your block or your hard back book and just take it underneath your bottom for me. And just sitting in that easy pose, hands just resting on the knees. Remember, if this is uncomfortable, we can have our legs like this or we can have them extended. That's absolutely fine. So sitting nice and tall, hands just resting on the thighs. I want you to imagine you've got a nice big beef tomato under the chin. Shoulder blades are resting in those back pockets, and we're just going to begin to rock the pelvis. So you're going to curl the pelvis in and rock it back. So I'm just doing the same movement now with my hands that I'm doing with my pelvis. So I'm just gently swaying, rocking back and forth. Nice and steady. And at the moment, as I'm bringing this movement, I'm getting that synovial fluid pumping through into my lumbar part of my spine. So that synovial fluid goes through all our joints in our body. It lubricates the joints. And we're just going through that movement, just lubricating that lumbar part of the spine. Nice and steady. And then very gently, just come and sit tall and have a little tuck under in the pelvis. Okay, so slightly different to how you were sat prior we did those little tucks. Take your hands to your rib cage and let us just focus on that lateral breath. So lateral breath is just, that's a bit inappropriate, isn't it? It's just the ribs expanding. We're just breathing into the ribs and then breathing out through the mouth. So we breathe in and out. Breathe in and out. And I want you to get used to how that breath feels. So those ribs should be like an accordion that's coming in and out, in and out, opening and closing, opening and closing. And we just want that breath to come into the rib cage, open up the ribs, open up the lungs, and then contract and come back out. And it's coming in through the nose, out through the mouth. So maintaining that breath now. Take your hands back towards your thighs. Just resting your hands onto the thighs or knees. Let us become conscious of our pelvic floor. So I want you to begin to contract the pelvic floor from the back of the bottom. So remember, it starts from that correct line. You're contracting and pulling in. We're then pulling in the middle of the pelvic floor, and then we're going to pull in all the way around to the front of the pelvic floor. Okay, so I always think of them as 3 points: 1 at the back, 2 in the middle, and 3 at the front. Think of it as an elevator. Okay, so when we contract at the back, it's like we're coming into the first floor, and then when we contract into the middle, we're coming up to that second floor, and as we contract at the front, we're coming up into that third floor. Now, can you just practice releasing, go back down to the second floor, back down to the first floor, back down to ground where everything's completely relaxed, and then again, just bringing those contractions in. Now, it's really useful when you go through these contractions to see if you can hold one part of those muscles, the pelvic floor on its own, or if they need to all do it together, if one part stronger than the other. What this can tell you is where maybe you need to work the pelvic floor, okay? So it's like one big muscle group, but there's lots of different muscles going on through there as well. So let us now contract. Let's lift it up to that third floor and let's hold it there. Let's take our focus into our belly button and begin to draw the belly button in towards the spine. So we have tension, but we can breathe. So we're not posing for a bikini picture or anything like that. We're just having about a 25-30% contraction in the core. Now, once you've done that, I want you to just very gently give me some double chin. So you're going to squeeze that chin into the chest and then let it release. And then squeeze in and then let it release. Squeeze in and release. And just give me 2 more of those double chins. So you're just squeezing the chest in. This is releasing tension in the back of the neck and the top of the shoulders. and release. And last time. And release. So now we've got that tuck under, we've got that pelvic floor lifted, that abdominal belt in place. We want to bring our peach, our nice juicy peach, place it underneath our chin. Shoulder blades are in those back pockets. Let's have simple cervical rotation. So just rotating the head round to the right hand side, back to the center, and then over to the left. And we're inhaling as we come to the center, exhaling as we go to the side. So it's really nice and steady. Inhaling. As you're coming to the center, you're breathing out through the mouth. And then let's have one more time, just over to the right. One more time to the left. And then let this head relax in the center. Take your hands just down by your side. Lateral flexion going on here. So just reaching over to the side and then bringing it back. And remembering, if we've got that osteoporosis diagnosis, we're keeping this range small. So nice and steady. Breathing out. So breathe in. And if we wanted to make this range smaller, bigger should I say, we can slide our arm out further away, and you're just going to feel that lateral flexion, nice and steady, controlled. Over we go. And if we wish, we could let the head rotate and look up as we go through that rotation, flexion. Sorry, my brain's slowing down. I think I'm getting to low sugar point in the day, in the afternoon. Need some food. So nice and steady. Let's have one more on the right, one more on the left. And the last one. And now coming back to the center, if we've got any lower back issues and rotation is really uncomfortable, all I want you to do is just take one hand to the knee and just really just let your chest and your head, maybe just your neck move. But if you're comfortable, then just take it to the side and then just rotate to the other side. So we're just bringing some rotation into the spine, into that thoracic part of the spine, to that mid spine. Nice and controlled, gently. Remembering we can keep that movement small, controlled. And last one to the left. And relax, come back to the center. So coming off your block now, I want you to bring your block in front, or your hard back block. And remember, if you don't have a block or a hard back block, that's absolutely fine. You're going to come and just bring your knees onto that block, okay? So really, we want our knees, we want to try and have that hip distance apart between them if we can, but if we haven't quite got it, because of depending on our knee size, our body size, or how big our hard back book is, or block, then that's absolutely fine, okay? We're trying to have it so that the knees are on the block. So, toes behind you can either be tucked under or shoelaces to the floor. In fact, I'm going to turn onto a side view. So, as I just said, we can have our shoelaces like so, or we can have them tucked under. It's really up to you. Bring your hands across your chest, tailbone is tucked under, pelvic floor is lifted, abdominal belt is in place. All we're going to do is come back and forward. And like I said, we can have the toes tucked under or not. So I'm going to have my shoelaces down and I'm just breathing in and I'm breathing out. And I should be feeling this in the front of my thighs. So nice and steady, controlled. Let's have two more. And last one. And then very gently tuck your toes under if they're not tucked under. Gently bring your hands down, come off your block. And all I want you to do is come over onto your bottom. So we're still in mobility, we haven't gone into our workout yet. But we're going to come down onto the floor to just finish our mobility. If you have any back issues, just come onto your side and then lay down with your knees bent. If you do not have any back issues, feet hip distance apart. And remember, if you're not sure what that is when you sat down, take your feet together, turn them out like Mary Poppins, heels out, and then very gently, pelvic floor lifted, abdominal belt in place. You're going to squish your peach a little bit here. We're going to roll the chin into the chest, roll the body down. Slowly coming down. You may need to shift your feet as you do this. Laying down onto your back, take your hands onto your hips. Okay, so just resting the hands on the hips. Take a moment to reflect on where your eye line is. Are you looking behind you? Are you looking in front? Or are you looking straight up? If you find you're looking behind, then just give your chin a little nod. If you find you're looking in front, give the chin a little lift. Now, all I want you to do is just bring up your right leg to 90 degrees. That knee wants to be above the hip, and all we're going to do is just push out and in. And we can change that range. So we could be pushing up towards the ceiling, we could be pushing out in front, or we may be pushing a little bit lower. And really, this is just about bringing mobility at the moment, okay? So just bringing energy into the lower part of the body. So nice and steady, controlled, eyes looking up. So just for 4 and 3 and 2 and 1. Bring it back, take it down. Let's just do the same with the other leg and take it out and in. And again, it's coming back to that 90-degree angle. It may not be coming near the floor, it may be going straight up towards the ceiling. It is what feels right for you. But remember, we're just in mobility here. So nice and steady. Controlled. And we're breathing in, breathing out. 3 more. Last one. Very gently take that foot down. Lift one foot, rotate it in one direction, and then the opposite direction. And then place it down. Opposite foot comes up, rotate in one direction, and bring it down. Relax, let your palms come down to the floor. Gently just let your head rotate in one direction. Hold it there for a moment. And then the other direction. Hold it for a moment. We're going to go straight into our workout. So nice and steady. Bringing the head back to the center. We're going to start with simple imprints. You know these well. So you've already got that pelvic lift. So remember that 1, 2, 3. We're up on the 3rd floor. We've got that full contraction going on. We've got that abdominal belt in place. Hands just resting on the floor. Let us just begin to tuck the tailbone up towards the ceiling and then rock it forward. So we took the tailbone up towards the ceiling and then rock it forward. So then as we took it up towards the ceiling, imprint the lower back, the mid back, the upper back. Then release the upper, the mid, the lower. So a little bit of just pelvic rocking there to build us into that imprint, and then release. So just nice and steady, controlled. And again, being really conscious about where is your eye line as we go through this. Where is your eye line? And remember, if you've already got an overextension in the neck, we've probably told you in the studio, if you've been in the studio with us, we've probably mentioned it, we're probably giving you an extra foam or a cushion, or told you to just have a thin roll underneath there. When you're at home, if you know you've got that, you can add a little block, a hardback book, or roll a towel up. And if you find when you're doing it that you know, when you do that little check and you find your eyes are looking up, then just, you know, like a thin flannel or a little thin hand towel rolled up just underneath, which just gives it that extra lift. It's absolutely adequate. That's absolutely fine. So let's just have 2 more of these imprints. So just really awakening the lumbar spine and then bring it back. Bring your hands to your hips. I'd like you to lift your right leg up to a 90-degree angle. Now we can keep the leg at 90 degrees, so this is one option, or we can straighten that leg up. What I want you to do is begin to make a circle with that leg. That movement is coming from the hip, and it's one fluid movement. I want the hips to be facing up towards the ceiling. So think of those hips as like the headlights of a car, and we need them to be facing up. We don't want them rotating out to the side. But we can make that movement bigger if we feel the hips are staying facing up towards the ceiling. Our headlights are upwards. So breathing in and breathing out as we're drawing it back. So it's a bring it in. Very gently change direction. Opposite direction. So it's breathing in. So nice and steady. Pelvic floor is engaged. That leg is coming round and over the midline. 2 more. Bring it in. Bring it down. Give it a rub into the thigh. Nice and steady. Walk your feet together. Hands, so index fingers and fingers beyond on the hip bones. Thumbs on the rib cage. Knees together. Feet together. We are going to maintain keeping the hips facing up. Those spotlights, those headlights facing up towards the ceiling. But what we're going to do is gently drop that right knee out to the side. Now, as it comes out to the side, we need to maintain those spotlights up towards the ceiling. So if we go too far, so if I go all the way over that, I can feel my hip is rotating out. That's too far. I'm not getting the benefits of that exercise. So the hands, the fingers are on the hip to be your guide, to let you know, so we can feel when that rotation starts to happen. And we know the point just before that rotation is as far as we want to be going. This is not a huge movement. So if you're getting your knee all the way down to the floor, then that's too far, okay? The hip is definitely going to be rotating out. So we're just breathing in as we take the leg out and breathing in as we bring it back. And we've got our pelvic elevator in place. We've got that postural integrity with that neutral spine. So let's just have 4 more of these. Last 3. Last 2. And then bring it back. This time, let us take the feet hip distance apart again. Mary Poppins, turn the feet out, heels out. Lift the opposite leg at 90 degrees. So we want that knee over the hip. Remember, we can either have the leg bent and keep it bent, or we can straighten that leg out. And we're going to make a circle again. That movement coming from the hip, it's one fluid movement to the hip, the knee, the ankle. They're all moving as one entity. So nice and steady. And again, keeping the hips, those headlights up towards the ceiling. Breathing in, breathing out. Do you know what it is today? I feel like I've just laid down and it's like, oh. I feel like I'm in Zen. I could just close my eyes and go to sleep. I probably say that every week. I'm always tired. I'm sorry. So nice and steady. I must have a deficiency of some sort, or it's just having a small child. So nice and steady. Breathing in, breathing out. Let's change direction, opposite direction. Really keeping your focus on that hip stability. So we're working on hip stability here. Nice and steady. Control. Focus. pelvic abdominal engagement going on, lateral breathing going on. And last one. Bend the knee, bring it down, give it a rub if you need to. Feet come together, hands on the hips and pelvis, very gently. Opposite side this time, left knee is going out to the side, controlled, and then back up. So out to the side, and then back up, excuse me. Opening and closing, opening and closing. Lateral breath, breathing out. So breathing in as you take it out to the side, breathing out as you bring it back. Don't forget that pelvic floor elevator, that abdominal belt, nice and steady. Last two for me. Last one. Bring it back. Now this time, keeping the hands on the hips, the index fingers on the hip bones and the fingers, thumbs on the rib cage. Let's take both knees out. Again, being conscious of the hips, those headlights, facing up to the ceiling, and then bringing them back, keeping that pelvic and abdominal integrity. So just nice and steady, breathing in as you open, breathing out. So two more, nice and steady. Last one. And relax. Take your feet, Mary Poppins, feet turn out, heels out, hands by the side. Okay, imprints again. Just gently imprint the lower back, mid back, upper back, and then gently rock forward. So we imprint mid, lower, mid, upper, release upper, mid, lower. So just a few imprints, nice and steady. Coming back to our neutral spine position, those feet hip distance apart. Gently draw your right knee in at 90-degree angle. Now we've got two options here. We can stay with this 90-degree angle, or we can do this from a straight leg angle. So I'm going to show you both. Obviously, if you have your leg straight, you've got a bigger lever, which is making it more challenging. So I'm going to show you with the bent leg first. But if you've got any lower back issues, I'd be saying stick with the bent knee. So all we're going to do is, if we're dipping our heel in cold water, just like we did in the beginning, I want you to slightly flex the foot if you can, if you've got no sciatica issues. If you have, then just keep the foot as it is. That's absolutely fine. And when I say sciatica issues, I'm talking about when it's active, okay? So if it's not active, a little bit of flexion in the foot should be okay. But if you flex it and you immediately feel a little bit of a sort of, activation, then obviously just keep it relaxed. So we are taking out. We could stop here and just have that full extension come to that point. We could draw it back, it comes to 90 degrees. We could be taking it here and then drawing it back. Or we could be taking it all the way down towards the floor, but it's not touching the floor. And then drawing it back to 90 degrees. If I've got my full leg extension, I may be taking that full lever all the way down and drawing it in. So always coming back with a bent knee if you've got the full lever, but drawing it down, slow and steady, and then drawing it in back to 90 degrees. So we could be doing this from that 90-degree angle, or we may be doing it from that straight leg lever. And we want to be so that as we take it out, we're breathing in, breathing out. Nice and steady. And obviously you don't have to breathe as noisy as I breathe. Just remembering to have that focus on breathing in, breathing out. So let's have 4 more of these. Last one. Breathe in, feet together, gently sway the knees. Just to a 5 past 2 and a 5 to 2, just nice and gentle. Taking it side to side. Excuse me. Then, very simply, take the feet again. Mary Poppins, turn the feet out, heels out. We've got our 90 degrees. So we've got our turn out, our hip distance apart. Wake up, Gemma, sorry. So we've got our feet hip distance apart. You're bringing your leg up so that the knee's over the hip. We can do this with a bent leg. We can do this with a straight leg. It's really what feels right for you and your body. Remember, your body is your guide. So let's inhale, exhale. Again, remember we can have flexion in the foot, but if we're suffering with sciatica, we're going to just let that foot be relaxed and just let it go as it is. That's absolutely fine. And again, that range, you might be just taking it up towards the ceiling. You might be taking it 3/4 of the way. You may be taking it all the way down, just an inch or so off the ground and drawing it in. You may have that full lever and be going from the top, but it's really up to you what feels right. Keep it going nice and steady. Last 2. Last one. Bring it in. Gently bring your feet together, knees together, gently sway side to side, nice and easy. Okay, feet again. Turn your feet out like Mary Poppins, heels come out, hands either side of the body. What I want you to do, we've got 2 options here. If we've got neck issues, you're just going to let your head maintain being on the floor. Okay, if we do not have neck issues, you're just going to lift the head up off the floor, let the head look down the body. And remember again, if we've got osteoporosis, then let's keep the neck on the floor. If we've got that diastasis, so we know we've got that opening in our abdominals, then again, keep the head on the floor. So all we're going to do, we're going to do it one time with the head on the floor and one with the head lifted, is we're just going to slide our right hand down towards our right foot. We're not, so it's that lateral flexion movement, coming back to the center, doing the same on the left. Now, if we can lift the head up and look down the body, then we do that lateral flexion, looking down the body. Breathing in, breathing out. Now keep going with that. What I want you to be conscious of, if you do have that lift, as you're looking down your body, be really conscious that you're not getting a dome shape in the tummy. That could tell us that your tummy is bulging upwards, and that means that you're lifting your upper body too high. So if you have the upper body up, the head, the neck, the shoulders, the top of the shoulders are literally still on the mat. It's a really small range. Breathing in, breathing out. And we can always take one hand As we reach behind, letting it rest at the base of the spine, the base of the cervical spine, but it is not there holding on to it, okay? It's there as just like a little extra reassurance for the body if we need it. So let's have one more to the right, one more to the left. And then bring it gently down. And you may already be down, that's absolutely fine. The next thing I want you to do, having the hands by the side of your bottom, is just lift them an inch or two off the floor. Again, we can do this exercise, so we're just going to tap the hands like so. We can do this with the head down, or we can lift the head and look down the body. Again, we can take our hand, place it at the base of the cervical spine, and have it there as a guide. So we're bouncing that hand, we're in that position. We've got neck issues, osteoporosis, we're going to be keeping the head down, just doing the arms. But what you can do, even if you've just got the arms down, we could lift one leg. Okay, so again, we could have that leg extended. We could have it out at a slight angle. So nice and steady. Remember, you're in control. So nice and steady, holding it there. Again, being conscious that if you've got your head up, then making sure the tummy is not bulging up like a dome shape, like a pyramid. So let's change legs if you've got a leg up. You may want to change hands if you've got a hand resting. We're just going for the hundreds here. Breathing in, breathing out. So nice and steady, keep it going. Remember, we can have the head down, we don't have to have it up. We can have that leg extended. We go with what feels right for us. Just for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let the head come down, leg come down if you've got them there. Bring your hands onto your tummy, let it rest onto your tummy. Feet are hip distance apart. This time all I want you to do is begin to draw your belly button down towards your spine, as if you're scooping and hollowing out the stomach, okay? So imagine you know, like you get an ice cream scoop, that spoon, it's really deep. Imagine you've got one of those and it's hollowing out the tummy. So we started at a 25-30% contraction. We're now drawing that right down as if we're trying to pull our tummy, our belly button down to the floor, and then we let it come back to that 25-30% contraction. So we're not just going, let it all relax. You've got that pelvic engagement, you've got that 25-30%, and then we're pulling it down, pulling it down. And the hands are on the tummy so you can feel that sensation as the tummy goes lower. Hold for a moment, and then gently release it back to its 25-30%. Again, gently pulling it down. And then releasing to the 25-30%. We're hollowing out that tummy, and this is really good. Sort of strengthening the area, flattening it out, but really strengthening the pelvic floor. That abdominal belt, that transverse abdominis, which is like that really, that key muscle that's our waist cinch, that's holding all our muscles in place, pulling down, bringing it back, pulling it down, bringing it back. One last time, let's just pull it down, hold it there for a moment. Hold it there for a moment. And then let it release. So we're going to stretch our hamstrings before we go into pelvic bridge. So I'm just rolling onto my side. If you have a strap, fantastic. If you don't have a strap, that's absolutely fine. You can do this stretch without, or you may want to use a pair of tights. They're great because they've got that elasticity in them, or a dressing gown belt. So again, just rolling onto your side and coming down onto your back. Just going to take that strap into the arch of the foot. Oh, stretch it out. And again, this supporting leg can straighten out if you wish. If you've got lower back issues, keep the knee bent, okay? I prefer to keep my knee bent. It just takes the pressure out my lower back. It's really personal choice. If you've got sciatica, then don't flex the foot up towards the ceiling. If you've got active sciatica going on, then just hug the knee, maybe stretch out the other leg, or just have the knee bent, just hug that knee in. That's going to give you some relief into the sciatic nerve. So otherwise, we are straightening that leg out. Our core, pelvic floor is engaged. We're straightening it out as best as we can. And we're just holding it there. It's not about getting that leg down on your head, okay, or down on the chest. It is about straightening that leg out and getting that stretch in the back of the hamstring, so the back of the thigh, taking a nice deep breath, drawing it a little bit more if you can, and holding it there. Very gently bend that knee into your chest. Let's take it off. Let's do the other leg. I'm going to stretch off your hamstrings, and this is going to be the end of part one, okay? And then we're going to come back because we're going to do our bridge next. So just holding it there. Take a deep breath. Can we draw that leg a little bit closer? Gosh, my hamstrings feel tight. Remembering if we've got no sciatica, we can flex the foot. Remembering if we want, we can straighten out that leg, but we don't have to. We want to feel the stretch into the hamstrings. So taking a deep breath. Can we draw it a little bit closer and hold? And again, deep breath. A little bit closer and hold. And then very gently bend it into the chest. Pop the strap down to the side if you've been using it. Remember, maybe you just had your hand behind the legs. Stay in that position. You may need to move and roll over and just like pause. I really do need a sugar here, don't I? I really need some food. I'm losing the will to move my mouth. Just gently, you may need to obviously click onto the second part. So well done. I'm just going to across and take you on to the next bit. Well done.